What's up guys, welcome back to the Kommander MTG YouTube channel. My name is Jason Komm and today we're going to be starting our deck building series. This is where I'm going to take a commander and walk you step by step through my process of building a commander deck from start to finish. We're going to show you every program that I use, including Scryfall, EDHREC, and Archidekt to build the deck. My process for going through building a deck, that way I can keep it under budget, and that way I don't pick out too many cards and have to narrow it all down at the end. With that being said, let's just go ahead and jump into it. So the commander that I'm going to do with you guys today is one of my favorite commanders. It's Tuvasa the Sunlit. What I recommend that you do each time you go to build a commander deck is start with Scryfall. Scryfall is a library of every magic card that you can think of, and what you can do is help find cards that either supplement your tribe, your theme, or just your commander in general. So first let's go over Tuvasa. So Tuvasa is a Bant commander. She is white, blue, and green, 1/1 legendary creature, Merfolk Shaman. Gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control, and whenever you cast your first enchantment spell each turn, you get to draw a card. So how I build this deck for myself is I actually originally bought the Precon with, I think it was EDHREC as the commander from 2018, I believe. And I used Tuvasa instead just because I liked her ability a little bit more. I like the idea of having a commander that can threaten your opponents through commander damage, but is also a huge card draw engine. And Tuvasa can do exactly that. So there's a couple different ways you could build this deck. You can go just the regular enchantment route, or you just put out a bunch of value enchantments. You generate just a ton of value throughout the course of a game, or you can go the route that I went, which is more of an auras route. So enchantment auras aren't very strong because, you know, you remove the creature, you also remove the aura. It's not like equipment where it gets to stay around. But the cool thing is that with Tuvasa, her ability that gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control, if you have a mix of regular enchantments and auras, she gets big really fast. And with dealing commander damage, you only need to deal 21 commander damage to kill somebody. That means, you know, you're a handful of enchantments away, auras even, from just one-shotting people. And that's how I like to build this, and that's how we're going to build it today. I call this Tuvasa Enchantron. We're going to load her up with some regular enchantments just to get the regular value protection that we need, but then we're going to suit her up with all sorts of auras, and she is going to get huge. We're going to give her unblockable, trample, stuff like that, maybe even double strike, and we're going to go through and just knock our opponents out one by one. The beautiful thing about Tuvasa is that if you build her this way, you can go short term, like you can load her up with enchantments early on in the game, and you can knock somebody out, 2 people, maybe even everybody out before turn 7 or 8 sometimes. Or you can just not do that, and you can go the attrition game to where you're just playing regular enchantments, you're just using her for value, for card draw, and win through that mean too. So she can kind of go both ways, and that's why I love this deck so much. My friends love playing it and hate playing against it because just out of nowhere you can die at a moment's notice. Okay, so we're going to start with Tuvasa. We can see here that she cares about enchantments a lot. We're going to focus on auras. So what I would do is, if I was looking at this commander for the first time, I'd go through this advanced search, and what I usually look for is this text. And so if you put your text that you're looking for in parentheses, that's kind of what it will look for in the text box of the card. So I'm just going to put enchantment. Yeah, let's just start there just to see what comes up, just to show you. So you can click the colors of your commander: red, white, green, and blue, and then we'll search with these options. You can get really detailed into this, but this is how I go through and I find a lot of cards that I've never seen before, some, you know, commons, some uncommons, and generally I'm just looking for cards that fit my general scheme, have a good mana value, and could potentially be cheaper than a lot of those normal enchantments that you see on popular YouTube channels like Game Nights and stuff like that, where they're playing with the $30-$40 cards. I don't have that kind of money, and I don't think a lot of people do, so I look for more budget-friendly cards, and this is how I find them. So it just takes some time, just go through and see if you find anything that you like. I already see a couple cards on here that I really enjoy, like this card here, All That Glitters. this is the type of card that we're looking for. So it's a 2-mana enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. So that just grows and grows and grows with Tuvasa. It pretty much just stacks her ability. It gives her redundancy in the deck, which is awesome. And keep in mind that we're going to have a ton of enchantments out. You don't have to put this on Tuvasa. We're going to have other creatures we could put this on and potentially threaten our opponents with. So these are the exact type of cards that I'm looking for. So maybe we can change our search to enchanted creature gets, and then we'll see what comes up from there. So like, let's go back, go to advanced search, go to our text, parentheses, enchanted creature gets, put in the colors of our commander, and search. All right, so now we're going to be getting into the nitty gritty. Pretty much all here is just aura enchantments, enchantment auras. So let's just go through it little by little and see if there's any that really stand out to us. And we'll just create these in a tab off to the side that we really like. So let's just go through here. Oh man, Ether Tunnel. This is an amazing card. 2-mana enchantment aura gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked. Unblockable is huge. We are definitely going to look for that card. All That Glitters, we are definitely going to look for that card too. This is kind of cool. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and can block as though it had flying, and can block creatures with shadow as though they didn't have shadow. That's really cool. It's kind of like niche, so I don't know if we're going to really look for that in here. Ancestral Mask, this is another great one. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield, so not even yours. So this card is just like an I win button if under the right circumstances, if you have unblockable on Tuvasa. So keep in mind, we want to find ways to get unblockable or trample onto our commander or other creatures as much as possible. And if we can get some protection in there too, like hexproof or indestructible, we need that too. So let's keep looking. Angelic Destiny, +4/+4, flying first strike, and is an angel. And whenever enchanted creature dies, return this card to your hand. That's pretty cool. All right. Oh, okay. Armadillo Cloak. This is exactly what we're looking for. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has trample. Whenever creature deals damage, you gain that much life. So it's like pseudo lifelink and trample. That's exactly what we're looking for. All right. Oh man, I know we're not going to be able to include this one because it's expensive, but Bear Umbra. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has, whenever this creature attacks, untap all lands you control, but more importantly, it has totem armor, which is if enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura. So we're going to be looking for all of the Umbras that have totem armor because, you know, that's just protection for our commander. And it's an enchantment aura, so it kind of just it's just a awesome card to have in our deck. Boar Umbra, ooh. Gets +3/+3 in totem armor. Nothing else, so that's not bad at 3 mana. That's not too terribly bad. And so this is the process that I'll go through. I won't look through every single card here just to keep the video a little bit shorter, but I would go through, find the kind of strategy or the theme that I want, find the keywords that I'm looking for, go to Scryfall, and I look for exactly the cards that I want to find. And this is a lot of times how I'll find older cards that aren't as popular, they're not staples, and oftentimes they'll be a lot cheaper. So if you do this before you build a commander deck, you can find some really cool cards that your opponents and friends may have never seen before and be super cheap. So normally once I go through and I pick out some cards that I really like from Scryfall, I will go over and open up my Archidekt account. So Archidekt is a way to log all of the decks that you build. You can even sort them into subcategories and things like that. So I would highly recommend making an Archidekt account. You can keep all of your decks on there. It's really nice. It has an ability for you to draw through your deck too, to kind of see, you know, if you have the right amount of card draw, right amount of ramp, lands, color fixing, all that stuff before you actually purchase the deck, which is super important. So just go to Archidekt, open up your own account, and I'm gonna start a new deck here, and we'll call it Tuvasa YouTube. Deck format, commander, make it only visible to us, and create it. So now that it's created, I will go to EDHREC, and this is where I'll build a lot of the deck. So we're going to search out Tuvasa. So whenever you go to EDHREC, there's a theme option here that you can click on. It has enchantments, auras, merfolk, cantrips, wheels, sagas, pod, primal surge. A lot of these really cool themes that you can click on to kind of condense the amount of cards that you're looking at. So for this, you know, Tuvasa's sitting somewhere around $8 right now. So I want to try to keep this under, let's try to keep it under $50. I think that's a good entry point for a commander deck. It lets you kind of feel out the strategy before you buy it, and you can still get some good cards. You're not going to get the best in slot cards or even close, really, but that's not the point. The point is to see if you like the playstyle before you invest a lot of money into it. I believe that very strongly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on this cheap option by the budget. This is also how you'll find cards that people don't often play. So let's go through. So I've posted a deck building template for you guys that you can follow whenever you kind of build any new commander deck. And I'm going to follow that exact template today. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for 12 ramp cards, 12 card draw, 7 single target removal, 3 board wipes. I'm going to have my commander and 37 lands. So that should keep us, that should leave us with roughly 27 cards to pick. So what I will do, so that I don't just go through and click every single card that I like and have a library of 300 cards to narrow down to a 100 card commander deck, I will start with one category, get all of those cards, and then I'll move on to the next. And generally what I do is build the bones of the deck first. That means the ramp, the card draw, the removal, the board wipes, and the lands. I'll export that to Archidekt so I can clear my EDHREC log, and then I'll come back and fill in the rest of the cards that I want. So that's like the meat of the deck, the cards that you really want to play. So let's go through. I want to start with ramp. I usually do start with ramp. So let's just go through and pick out 12 ramp cards. And keep in mind, this is an enchantment themed deck. So we're going to have a ton of enchantments in here. There's a ton of enchantment ramp cards, just like Fertile Ground here. This is exactly what we're looking for. Anything that has enchantment in the card type here is something that we're going to want, because that's going to trigger Tuvasa for us to draw a card, and a bunch of the other cards we're going to have are going to keep to that same theme. So Jukai Naturalist, enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. We're going to have a ton of those. I like having creatures out. It has lifelink. It is an enchantment creature, so it will trigger Tuvasa. That is a wombo combo at only 23 cents. That is perfect. Fertile Ground, enchanted land is tapped for a mana. Its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color. That is awesome. That's ramp for our deck. That's exactly what we want. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Great. It's on a body. And whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain a life. This card is awesome, but it's sitting at 288. That's a little bit too much for what I'm looking for here. So I'm going to pass on that. We're going to have a lot of other good options to pick from here, so I'm not too worried. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 2 forests. So yeah, I'm going to pick that. And let's keep going. All right, Wild Growth, another enchantment aura for ramp. I love it. All right, Dawn's Reflection. I love that too. It's a little bit more costly than what I would want, but mana cost wise, but we'll keep it in there for now. Sanctum Weaver. Oh, this card is so good. This is almost too good. I think we have to spend the $2 on this card. Let me get to the end, and then if we're short just one and we're good on our budget, we might add that too. So normally, if you're playing green, a lot of your enchantment is going to be sorcery based. So we're going to skip straight to sorceries here, because that's where we're going to pick up our cultivates. It's extremely cheap right now. Rampant Growth, extremely cheap right now. Let's see, Kodama's Reach under $1. That's really what we're looking for. Normally when I build a deck for the first time, I try to keep every slot under $1. And generally that keeps me from getting into trouble. So, I gotta take a couple cards out of here. All right, so far I've got 8 cards on my clipboard. That's 8 ramp cards. TCG is totaling at $275, so I'm doing really, really well. If I can keep this under $5, I will be extremely happy. So let's just keep going through. We've got a couple other ones here. Let's go to Mana Artifacts. So this is where you're going to have your signets and stuff like that. So Soul Ring under $1, gotta get that. Arcane Signet, perfect. I love Commander Sphere. I know the signets are better, right? They're better overall, but I love Commander Sphere. It has come in handy for me just to sack it and draw cards so many times. 1 mana of any color. That's just, I love it. Okay, so we're sitting at 11 here, and we are at 440. So I'd like to keep this under $5 if at all possible. So I'm not going to go for that Sanctum Weaver. What I am going to go for is probably this Simic Signet right here. So if I look at the breakdown here, I have 1 creature, 3 sorceries, 4 artifacts, 4 enchantments. That's good. You know, something to be really wary about is whenever you build a deck like this, when it's enchantment heavy, is the fact that you can get blown out really, really easily if you have just a ton of enchantments. Like, everything is enchantments. If somebody plays a board wipe that gets rid of all your enchantments, like Austere Command or something like that, you are screwed. So it's good to have a little bit of variety here, not go all in to the enchantment or a ramp. So we're going to stop there and call it good. So I've got my 12 ramp already done. So I'm going to come back up here and we're going to work on our card draw now. This is a little bit more difficult to get. Keep in mind that Tuvasa does draw you a card every turn once she's out. So you might think, okay, I can go a little bit easier on that route. Yeah, it's only 1 card and 1 card is great, but with all these enchantments, there are so many ways to abuse this that we have to capitalize on it when we can. So let's look here. So Enchantress's Presence, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. We're going to do that a lot, so we're going to pick that up. All right, Eidolon of Blossoms, enchantment creature, has the same ability. It's sitting at $3. We're going to pass on that for now. We need more. We need closer to $1 here. Satyr Enchanter, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. All right. Let's see here. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life, draw a card. We're going to get that one. Maze Enchantress, we're going to pick that up too. All right, so this is one of my favorite cards in the deck that I have built right now. Citizen Champion. Whenever enchantment enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on it, and you get to draw a card. It's sitting at $3 though, so we're going to pass on that for now. Let's see how many we're sitting at. We got 16, so we need 24 total to hit our 12 card draw spells. We might lower that down just a little bit because Tuvasa can draw us a card every turn, and depending on what our budget kind of looks like. Now, I don't think there's a lot of creatures that can do this for us. Ooh, here's one. Whenever you play an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. These cards used to be really, really cheap, so there's been a lot of enchantment decks that have been coming out lately to kind of bump these prices up a little bit. But we're going to see if we can find some more. Whenever you cast an aura spell, you may draw a card. That's good, but it's $3, so it's looking like card draw is going to be extremely expensive for us. Whenever Cold Ice Selkie deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. See, that's tricky because I might pick that up as a card draw spell because that could potentially draw us just an absolute ton of cards. So let's finish through. I might come back to it. Maybe we'll pick up SRAM too because of the auras. I'd like to keep it more general. I'd like to keep card draw on enchantments rather than auras specifically, just because we're going to have a lot of other enchantments in here that aren't auras. All right, so we're having a little bit of hard time finding some card draw here. So one of my favorite card draws, I know that we're in blue, so we're going to look up Fact or Fiction. And we're going to pick that up. It's great card draw. There's almost no reason not to have it in your deck if you're playing blue, let's be real. All right, we're going to pick up some just basic card draw spells just to get this going. I think we're going to have to pick up some of these more expensive card draw options just because card draw is so important that I really want to have these in here. And it looks like they're pretty much crouching up on $2 or $3 a piece. So I think it's really important to get the ones that hit as many of our bases as possible. So Citizen Champion, +1/+1 counter, and you draw a card every time one enters the battlefield. That's really good. Let's see our other options. Eidolon of Blossoms. Whenever Eidolon Blossoms or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. It is 4 mana. It is also an enchantment creature, so that hits kind of all the bases there. It's a little bit more expensive though. This has a little bit higher ceiling. For a little bit less of a price, I think I'm going to pick up Citizen Champion. Might not be the best option, but that's kind of how I like to play. Anything that can become a threat in here is going to be really, really good. All right. Whenever you play an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. 3 mana. It's a 0/2 for $3. I don't know. That's a little bit. That's not as much as I was hoping for. So I think I'm going to end up picking up Cold Ice Selkie for some card draw. I know it's not going to be the best card draw that we can have, but with Tuvasa, we kind of can ease up on the card draw just a little bit. This is kind of cool. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library, put up to 3 enchantment cards from among them into your hand, and the rest of the revealed cards into your graveyard. So that's not too bad. 3 mana to look at the top 6. If we have 50% of our deck being an enchantment, that would give us 3 cards at best. So 3 mana for 3 cards at best. It could be 3 mana for no cards. I don't like that. It's kind of cool, but that's just not the type of stuff that I like to play. Especially whenever you're dealing with like more of a cheap deck where your cards aren't as impactful as they could be. You really need to be careful with the types of cards that you put in here. Okay. So let's see if we can find any more that can draw some cards. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink, and whenever this creature does combat damage to a player, draw a card. I will take that. Again, not the best, but we're going to take it. Okay, so this is a card that we absolutely have to pick up. Teferi's Ageless Insight. This card is absolutely amazing in Tuvasa. So if you would draw a card, except the first one in your draw, the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. So basically every turn you're going to draw for your turn, right? And then you're probably going to play an enchantment with Tuvasa out. It's going to trigger Tuvasa, you're going to get to draw a card, except for you get to draw 2. So 4 mana to draw 2 cards every turn at the minimum is going to be really, really good. So even though it's over $2, I am picking this up 100%. And I think that's going to round out our card draw. So let's take a look at it. All right. So we picked up some more creatures, which is great. It gives us some bodies on board, especially early in the game. And that's really, really important when you can have a deck that is either going to go heavy into one creature like Tuvasa, just to have some blockers available, or for the late game, when everybody else starts to go wide and they start to send some stuff your way, you'll have some nice things to put out in front of them. We picked up some more enchantments, so we're still a little bit more heavy enchantment in our deck, which is exactly what we want, but we still have a good spread here. We're not too heavy yet, which is what I want to try to keep. Awesome. So let's go to single target removal. There's some cards in this color combo that I absolutely have to play. I posted up some removal cards that you should play in a prior video, and I'm pretty much going to add every single one of them to here. So Render Silent is an amazing card. Counter target spell its controller can't cast spells this turn. It will win you so many games. Just do it. Don't even ask me about it. Darksteel Mutation, one of my absolute favorite cards, and it's an enchantment. It fits the theme. It's still over budget, but it's such a good card. Imprison on the Moon. In the Moon. I keep saying on the moon. Is it on? Imprisoned in the Moon. 64 cents. Perfect. All right, what else? Reality Shift. Some of my absolute favorite cards. All right. All right. I think we got some great pickups there. So you want to be able to handle as many things as possible with your removal. So Render Silent, we got a great counter spell. Reality Shift, we can exile creatures. With our Darksteel Mutation, we can handle a lot of creatures this way. Imprison on the Moon. We can do lands, planeswalkers, and creatures. So we've got a little bit of everything covered. I'd like to get some more removal for enchantments and artifacts in here. So let's take a look, see if we can find some of that. We need to be able to take care of enchantments and artifacts too, or just any permanent in general. Usually I'll go for Beast Within when I have something like that. And then Negate is just such a good card, and Counterspell is just another. It's so good. And you want to be thinking about protection for Tuvasa a lot, so we're going to pick up those cards and call it good. So let's fill out some enchantment. Let's fill out some board wipes. Destroy all creatures that aren't enchanted. They can't be regenerated. It's perfect. You just need that card. If we had more like that, that'd be even better. Now, whenever you're trying to keep on a budget, these board wipes They're not going to be the best. You can get much better board wipes, but they're going to cost you an arm and a leg. All right, Time Wipe. I absolutely love this. It's 5 mana, return a creature you control to its owner's hand, then destroy all creatures. So get Tuvasa back, don't have to pay the commander tax on her whenever she goes, and you get rid of the board. That's exactly what you want. We really want a way to board wipe enchantments and artifacts too, and I didn't see anything in here, so let's look for Austere Command. Oh, there we go. That's the perfect card. It's like the perfect board wipe. I love it so much. It's so cheap now too. There's no reason not to pick it up. So we've got our ramp, our card draw, our single target removal, our board wipes, and now we have our commander as well. So that's 33 cards. I think I'm a little under, so it should be 12, so 24, plus 7, which would be 31, and then plus 3, so 34. So I'm a little bit under somewhere, and I think it's on the card draw side. So let's just go through, let's just leave it. So what you do now is you go to your clipboard, and it has this export to Archidekt here. And we are going to export, since I have my login already done, I'm going to add to the deck that I created, Tuvasa, auto select categories. We're just going to do maybe board. And then we're going to do add to deck. Now we're going to go to the deck that I just made. All right. So this is what it's going to look like. Let me give you a little breakdown. So whenever we get these cards out of our maybe board, they're going to come over into our deck, and it's going to accumulate a deck size here. And it's also going to give us an expected cost here. And then whenever you hit this little drop down, cost without basic lands are included here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some categories. So if I just highlight over a card, I can hit this arrow. It's going to let me create a category. So I'm going to add one here, and I'm going to do ramp. And create. Now I'm going to tag this for my ramp card. And now I'm going to go back. So boom, now I have a title with ramp, and I have Arcane Signet. So I'm just going to go through here real quick and just drag over all of my ramp spells. There it goes. Okay, so notice how all these cards are red here. It's because I haven't given my deck the commander yet. So if I highlight over Tuvasa, do the same thing, it should have a make set commander. There we go. So now it's added my commander's Tuvasa, and now all my cards are not red, which means they are good to go. So let's just start from the top here. Austere Command, we're going to add category. We're going to do board wipes. New category, create, tag this. We're going to do Beast Within. We're going to do single target removal. Create. And then, oh, did I forget to tag it? And then we've got, we're calling this card draw. Don't judge me. Tag it. All right. So now I can go through and just drag all the cards I have over and just create my base of my deck, the bones. So I've got single target removal here, or single target removal. Got some card draw, more card draw. And you just do this until your deck is filled out. All right. So now I'm gonna hit save. It's created all these different categories for me. I've got them all separated out into exactly what I want. So now I'm gonna go back to EDHREC. I'm gonna clear this here, and I'm gonna go through and get my lands now. So with a deck like this, you're gonna have 3 colors, and she is just one of each. So it's extremely important to get your colors out early. So we're gonna get some duals in here just to try to fill that gap. It's really important to have unblockable. So I'll go to this utility land section. This is where I'll pick up like Rogue's Passage. This card has won me a ton of games. It's just a sneaky thing. 4 mana, you put it out there, it's a land. It's basically a pseudo aura at this point, or pseudo enchantment that we can give her unblockable and just kill somebody. Reliquary Tower, it's really good in this deck too because you can draw a bunch of cards with this. But it's sitting at $2, so we're not going to buy that for now. So let's just go down to our regular lands. So we're always going to pick up Command Tower, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse. These tri-lands, they're tap lands, but they're amazing. And I'm going to pick up every single life gain one that I can. I really like the life gain cards. I'm also going to pick up the bounce lands. They're a super budget-friendly way to get a lot out of your cards. So I also like the temples. So as long as we can keep those really cheap, we'll add the temples too. Ooh, look at this Prairie Stream. We got a dual land, 18 cents. I like that. Kind of a check land type deal. Same thing with Canopy Vista. Let's see what else. Yavimaya Coast. I like that a lot. I'm gonna make sure we get some untap options in here. Try to keep it relatively cheap. Port Town, that's great. Fortified Village, that's great. Has the potential to come in untapped, and they're dirt cheap. Exactly what we want. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I really like the temples. I want to try to keep myself from having too many tap lands. I know I've got a lot in here, so they're all relatively cheap except for the Temple of Plenty. So I might just pick up these two temples and call it good. Yeah, and keep in mind, the cheaper the mana base that you have, I mean, the slower your deck is really going to be. But look at this. I mean, all those for $3. Like, we're going to add in our basic lands and stuff on Archidekt, but we're going to export again. Add to our decks. We're going to click Tuvasa, auto select categories, and now we're going to go back. Tuvasa, bam. So now I have my commander, board wipes, card draw, lands, ramp, single target removal. I need to get this up to 37, so I need 19 more lands since I've got 3 different colors in here. I'm just going to do 6 of each, just really quick. So we're going to modify this later. So we're just going to do it plains. So we got 6 of those. Island. 6 of those, and then a forest. We'll just add 7 of these. All right, so now we're back up to 37 lands. We're gonna hit save. So if you go over here up to the stats portion, it does a nice little breakdown for you of, you know, how much mana the cards that you have in your deck cost versus how much your deck can produce. So it looks like we're really kind of even here. Our deck is actually pretty even too. That's going to change whenever we select these next cards. So we have 70 cards here, which means we have 30 cards that we can add to this deck. It's a little more than what I would usually have, but that's good. That means we have a lot more room to play with. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to clear my clipboard again, and we're going to go through and we're going to pick all of the fun cards now. So a lot of the times these high synergy cards and these top cards are going to fill out that list for you. But just have fun with it. If you got a budget that you're trying to keep under that budget. If not, you just kind of get to go ham. Okay, so TCG puts us at $37.75. So we got about $13 to work with. That's not a lot. We might have to come through here and clip out some of these more expensive cards. It's a lot in this card draw section. See how it's totaling us up at 15 bucks? I don't know if there's really any way to avoid that while keeping this going. Citizen Champions costing us a lot. We'll give it a go. All right. Ooh. And Sigil of the Empty Throne, literally one of the best cards in the entire deck, so we have to pick that up. Unflinching Courage is perfect. Unquestioned Authority enters the battlefield, draw a card, protection from creatures, so basically unblockable, which is great. So we're going to pick that up. Gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and has first strike. Yes. So if you remember those cards that we looked at earlier, we're also going to be looking for them at this point too. The Umbras that I brought up, we're going to want both of them. All right. So now let's get into it. We've got All That Glitters. I saw that earlier. We're going to pick that up. Finest Hour. An extra combat if we attack alone. That's perfect. Ancestral Mask. Oh, it's expensive, but we've got to get it. It's too good. Johnny's Chosen makes more tokens. Can help protect us against boards that go wide. Ooh, this is just another copy of our commander. We basically got to pick that up. What are we sitting at? $7. Oof, that's expensive. Okay, so in my deck, I have this card, Nilius Colossus. It is probably like the best card in the entire deck. Like, it has won me so many games because it just can double the power of your creature over and over and over again. It's just so good. Archon's the Sun's Grace. We're going to pick that up. 29 cents, can't beat that. Let's see what else. Archetype of Imagination. I freaking love this card. It is so good. Just gives all your stuff unblockable. Doesn't let them have unblockable. Bruna brings back, you know, your auras, attaches it to her. Perfect. Wider Naiads. More unblockable. All right, let's see. Ooh, Weaver of Harmony. That's a pretty good card. We're going to pick that up. Picked up 6 creatures. Had some in there already. Sun Titan, it's so good. Most of our enchantments, most of our auras are going to be 3 mana or less. So I think we've got to pick up Sun Titan. It's just so good. I'm tempted to pick up Erixmathes because it's such a cool card. Hydra Omnivore will be sweet with this. Deals damage to each opponent whenever it does damage. It's pretty good. All right, so we're getting into some protection level cards, and we do need some protection for Tuvasa, so we are going to pick up Karametra's Blessing. It's just such a good card. It's hard to ignore. Tamiyo Safekeeping. It's another one of those things that can absolutely save Tuvasa. It's almost like a counter spell. You've got to pick it up. Creeper Renaissance, bring things back from the graveyard. It's an amazing card. What are we at budget-wise? $11.69, so we're going to be a little bit over that budget. Let's just say we weren't going to add Tuvasa in there, so she's about $8, so let's just say we've got $8 more, just to keep it cool. I generally try to stay away from tutors. They're really, really good, but it just doesn't make for a fun game. You end up finding the same card every single time. You just find the best one, you slap it on, and you win. I just generally don't advise people to do that and play that way, just because you'll get burnt out on your deck really fast, and your friends won't like to play you because they're just like, it's like playing the same deck every single time, which is true, and that's just not fun. Ooh, Helm of the Gods. It's a great card, but it's sitting at $3, so we can't pick that up. What's this? Holy Avenger. Creature has double strike. That's awesome. Deals combat damage. You may put an aura card from your hand onto the battlefield attached to it. We're going to pick that up because even though it's not an enchantment, it gives us a little bit of variety. And if you just have all enchantments out, you're going to get board wiped eventually and lose all of those. So Holy Avenger has good synergy, also doesn't have good synergy, but will protect us against getting blown out. All right, so now we're getting into the enchantment side. So this is where we're going to get the next 8 cards. So like, let's say, you know, we've got $20 here left to spend. So we got $8. Rancor. We need trample, we need unblockable, 1 mana to put it on her. That's perfect. That's exactly what we need. Armadillo Cloak. That's exactly what we need. Let's see what else. Ghostly Prison. Ooh, this protection is really, really good. We might have to pick that up. All right, let's see what else we got here. Vow of Flight. Ooh, Double Strike. Gotta get this. Okay, so this card is expensive, but you have to get it. It is so good. Unblockable and lifelink. She's blue and white, so she gets both. It is an absolutely amazing card. You have to get it. Shield of the Oversoul. It's the same thing. It's indestructible and flying. You've got to get it. It's so good. I'm sorry. I can't keep to the budget when I see these awesome cards keep coming up. So we only need 3 more cards. Okay, so we're still a little bit under. Let's see what else we can get. Oh, Spirit Mantle gets +1/+1. It has protection from creatures, so basically unblockable. That's really good. There is a card. There is one called Indestructibility. It's just so good. It's hard to ignore. Let me find it. Indestructibility. Indestructible Aura. Enchanted Permanent is indestructible. Boom. Okay, we need 2 more cards. Let's go back to the high synergy, see if we missed anything up here. We're looking for some sweet auras or enchantments to add. It's best if you can keep them on the cheaper side too. Let's go back to enchantments. There's some of the cards here that I have in my deck that I bought whenever I got the precon, and they're just so expensive now. Like this, Etched's Invocation's an amazing card. It's $12. No way. Not buying that if you're playing a budget deck. Ooh, Valve Wildness. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has trample and can't attack you or a planeswalker you control. Well, you're going to be targeting your own creatures, so 3 mana for +3/+3 and trample. That's pretty good. 7 cents, we got to get it. We're getting that. It's just too good. Ooh, other enchantments you control have Shroud. That is so good. We've got to get that. Did we just go over? It's fine. All right, we're going to export this. We're going to add to Tuvasa. You already know. All right. So it looks a little bit more messy now. So what I would generally do is just create a synergy type of category. Protection like this, like Karametra's Blessing and Tamiyo's Safekeeping, since a lot of the times you're going to be negating an opponent's spell anyway, I'll kind of put that underneath the single target removal category. And let's just create a synergy category with our enchantments here. So we're going to change enchantment to synergy. Just because I don't need to have a separate one for artifacts. I don't need to have a separate one for sorceries, because what I really need to look at is the meat of the deck. And so whenever I have it in this kind of view, I'm going to save that. We are sitting at 100 cards. That's perfect for me. So this is exactly how I build the deck. This is how I can see how many of each card that I have available. I make sure that all of the bones of the deck, the card draw, the ramp, the removal is up to par. Got the board wipes in there. I've got a good amount of synergy, and then I can fix my mana too. So lastly, I'll go through the stats here, and I'm going to make sure that these are roughly equal. So again, the outer is how much the cards I have require, and the inside is what I currently have. So it looks like we need less blue and more white and green. So I'm going to go to my islands, just going to screw it, we're just going to leave it. That's not crazy bad. You should be able to get the cards that you want. In here, you can also look and see kind of your mana curve, kind of where you stick out. I think anything below 4 is good. If you're playing casual commander like me, anything below 4 is going to be really, really good. If you're closer to 3, that means you've got a pretty low average CMC. Because most of these are small enchantment auras, that's kind of why this has happened. But that's a great looking bell curve, honestly. So I'm not even really trying to optimize it very much. This was just really, really quick. That's pretty good. Let's look through here, card types. I've got 33 enchantments. So since I'm a enchantment focused deck, you want to have at least 20 enchantments in the deck to trigger Tuvasa and all those other supplementary synergistic cards. So I'm kind of hitting that up too. So I'm really liking the way that this is looking. And lastly, I'll go to this playtest option, and pretty much all I'm looking to do here is to see if I've got the right amount of ramp and card draw in order to get Tuvasa out regularly on turn 3. If I can get her out early, that's going to be great. So over here I have life. I don't really keep track of that. I just use this to make sure that I've got the right amount of lands. So I just play through it just a little, and just to make sure that I've got a decent chance of getting her out. I'm just looking for consistency here. Perfect. Okay, I've seen enough. I just draw through it just a few times just to make sure that I can at least start the game getting Tuvasa out, since she is the main focus of the strategy. And that's it, guys. That's how I build a deck right there. I use Archidekt, Scryfall, EDHREC, all in conjunction, just to make sure that I keep my deck under budget. I have the bones of the deck figured out, the card draw, the removal, the ramp, the board wipes, and then I draw through it a couple of times, and then if I like it, I buy it. Let's see what I was able to keep this one under. Ooh, 61 bucks. That's not optimized either, so that's pretty close to the budget that we had set. We could obviously switch out a card here or there. But yeah, that's how I build a deck, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, just comment down below letting me know. Especially if you want to see a commander that you like. I can do that too. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one.